This morning really is an honor to address you at your CESA Infrastructure Indaba here in Johannesburg to discuss the implementable plans and practical plans that we are seeking to achieve in South Africa's infrastructure goals. Over the last 10 months, we've been hard at work to reimagine infrastructure development in South Africa to make it more harmonious across the three spheres of government and to ensure that when we say something, we actually do it. We are in a race against time to grow our economy and to create the thousands of new jobs that are so desperately needed. In my office, our view is that the time for talk is over, and it is now time for action. And let's be clear that we will never achieve these goals unless, as a government, we partner with experts such as yourselves in the private sector. You are the proverbial keys to unlock our economic potential. Today we are gathered under a theme of collaboration for the future we want and mobilizing for sustainable development. Indeed, I'm here to ask you to partner with us as we seek to build a better South Africa. Because without capable and qualified engineers, our ambitious goals to uplift the economy and to improve the quality of life for every South African will remain elusive. I'm also determined to make our country an attractive professional environment so that we can see our engineers and professionals in the built environment return home to help us in our efforts. We should take no pride or pleasure in seeing design and development offices around the world filled with South African professionals. In fact, it is an indictment on our slow pace of infrastructure development that they seek jobs across our borders. It is through your skill and dedication that we can aspire to see cranes in our skies and shovels in the ground across our country. And we simply cannot do this alone. Ladies and gentlemen, shortly after I was appointed as the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure in July last year, I made the public declaration that within my term of office, I will turn South Africa into a construction site. Because I know that it is only through increasing infrastructure investment in South Africa that we would meaningfully be able to grow our economy and create jobs. After years of near stagnant economic growth and an ever-increasing unemployment rate, it was my belief that infrastructure investment held the key and holds the key to rapid economic expansion in South Africa. At a cabinet lekgotla shortly after being appointed into office, the entire cabinet agreed that the Government of National Unity's #1 priority over the next 5 years should be and must be to grow the economy and to reduce the unemployment rate. If, as the Government of National Unity, we have failed to meaningfully reduce the unemployment rate during our term in office, we will have failed. To put it another way, it is the single metric that we will be measured against. Unemployment goes up, we will have failed. Unemployment comes down, we will have succeeded. And it therefore is our #1 focus and our #1 obsession in our department. Everything that we do, everything that we say, and everything that we decide is measured against that one objective. Does it decrease unemployment and grow our economy? If it doesn't, we throw it out the window. So over the last few weeks, we have already seen a renewed focus on infrastructure investment in the earlier State of the Nation address in February this year. Because globally we know, and studies show us, that for each percentage point in infrastructure investment, gross domestic product increases. And so economic growth of this nature, after years of lackluster growth, will mean more successful businesses and more jobs. But we have to do more. That simply alone is not enough. So as the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, we also want to meaningfully contribute to achieve the GNU's goal of increased growth and job creation. And as I said, it's become our daily obsession to turn our department not into a department of bad buildings, but into a department of economic delivery, which will ignite economic expansion. So during my State of the Nation reply address roughly a month ago, I committed that our department will work to achieve an audacious and an ambitious goal to attract an additional 100 billion rand in infrastructure investment over 4 years. Whether this be through public-private partnerships, blended finance, or releasing state-owned properties to the private sector, I've committed my department to playing a leading role in turning South Africa into that construction site. And we know that additional infrastructure investment is the key to this goal of more cranes in the sky and more shovels in the ground. So to realize our ambitions, we are undertaking a number of reforms to the department to make sure that it is fit for purpose to build a better South Africa. Central to this goal is to harness the full potential of Infrastructure South Africa to help achieve and attract that private sector investment and facilitate infrastructure financing. Since I was appointed, I've been incredibly impressed by the professionalism and expertise within CESA, and I'm looking forward to expanding the role that they have to play in coordination, planning, and preparation. I believe Infrastructure South Africa will become the driving force behind our infrastructure agenda by becoming a one-stop shop for all major infrastructure and catalytic projects across the country. This allows Infrastructure South Africa to cut through the red tape and facilitate swift execution of all projects. And their role is critical in ensuring that we move from planning to execution with unprecedented speed and efficiency. It already has a pipeline worth 1 trillion rand worth of projects in South Africa, and I look forward to expanding that pipeline in the months ahead when we plan to release the second version of the construction book in May. Presenting our infrastructure plan in the Middle East 3 weeks ago, we've already witnessed the overwhelming appetite by our partners there to play a role in private sector and international funding for our projects. This is why we've been working with National Treasury to reform our triple P framework and regulations to make it easier for yourselves in the private sector to get involved in infrastructure projects. And we consider the recent amendments to the at least to the Public Finance Management Act, already a big step in the right direction, with triple P projects below 2 billion rand now able to continue on a basis without cumbersome Treasury approvals and being able to make unsolicited bids. The fruits of this renewed interest in our infrastructure is already starting to show. The first of its kind project preparation financing initiative worth 180 million rand that we launched towards the end of last year has been met with overwhelming interest and success. This will ensure that more projects are able to get off of the ground sooner through project preparation and approvals. We are literally paying to fund your project preparation and to execute it in partnership with you. And I look forward to making these award announcements at the upcoming Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium in May of this year in Cape Town, and I please do invite you all to attend that. Furthermore, we've launched a major policy change within the department by releasing previously neglected or abandoned state properties for request for proposals. In the first phase of this program, we have put out to market 31 state-owned properties across the country with a value of 1.4 billion rand. The department's preliminary calculations show that these properties, which will be released to the private sector for development through triple Ps and long-term leases, will generate 10 billion rand in private sector investment. So what does that mean? We are effectively putting those properties out to the market at zero cost as an equity investment so that we can attract private sector investment. Our calculations show that we seek to attract 40,000 new construction jobs just in those 31 projects alone. It is hugely exciting. So by converting underutilized state resources and assets in communities, towns, and cities across the countries, we are actively turning them into development projects and not abandoned buildings. So we are not just optimizing our own resources, but we are using them to generate economic activity. Imagine previous eyesores across the country being transformed into value-adding assets through private sector investment. And we will soon be looking forward to replicating this work at small harbors across the country, such as the Hout Bay Harbour in Cape Town, which I believe will be turned into the next V&A waterfront, with an estimated private sector investment of between $1 billion and $1.5 billion US dollars through tourism, fishing, and maritime logistics. Ladies and gentlemen, I've also made this offer to Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi because we want to ensure that Gauteng and Johannesburg work. Because if it doesn't work, South Africa doesn't work. And so we understand that there are many challenges facing us, but if we work together, we can achieve these goals. So as we accelerate our efforts to turn South Africa into a construction site, it is, of course, imperative that we address concerns that many of you have with our department head on. And so one of the greatest threats that we've identified to infrastructure development has been corruption, inefficiency, and activities of criminal syndicates that disrupt projects for their own gain. And we will never be able to realize these goals if we allow the status quo to remain or for a trust deficit to exist between yourselves and us as a department. That's why we are moving with speed to establish integrity and accountability as the foundation of our department. And we have also taken a zero-tolerance approach to corruption by launching a number of investigations into failed projects, including the now infamous Telkom Towers and the infamous IDT oxygen tender, which made the headlines for all the wrong reasons. But we are also working with the Auditor General of South Africa to improve our audit outcomes and to implement the recommendations that they bring to us. We cannot and we will not allow public money to be squandered or to be used inefficiently any longer. We're also going to be introducing stringent blacklisting policies within our department to ensure that contractors that fail to deliver on their commitments or have been caught in unethical practices will no longer be able to do work for our department or any of our entities. We've also launched a skills audit across the senior levels of our department to ensure that we have the skills necessary to execute on our mandate. And we are also at the same time filling key vacancies to bring about stability to the department. We have also, in the last couple of weeks, established a special projects or delivery unit within the department to fast-track infrastructure projects and delivery by bringing in specialized skills to tackle stalled and delayed projects and to prioritize major national catalytic infrastructure projects. And we are also bringing an end to construction stoppages at projects across the country. Many of you would have attended our summit in Durban, and the data that we have coming in the first half of this year has been a decline in construction stoppages. So the work between the SAPS, National Treasury, ourselves, and other key departments is slowly but surely yielding successes, and we are still working with National Treasury on dealing with local procurement so that we don't incentivize criminal behavior, but we incentivize collaboration.